Hello, gentle viewers. This is Indian, and I thought it would be a good idea to do a quick post-mortem of what went wrong and what went right in the last Surviving Mars playthrough. Surviving Mars is the kind of game that for a long time I didn't like very much. My very first city builder was the original SimCity, and I played up to SimCity 2000, and then I stopped playing SimCity. I actually own SimCity 4, I've never even installed it. I got into some kind of sale at some point. Banished is a game I liked until I couldn't figure out the resource loop, and then everyone died, and I was sad. Surviving Mars is different. If you're looking for a colony/city builder, you can't do much better than Surviving Mars, I feel, in 2018. And Space Race does make it better. I don't necessarily know that Space Race is a proper expansion because as of this video, the interaction between colonies is fairly minimal. And it doesn't ever really feel like a race. It feels like there are other people on the planet doing things, but I don't really care. Because we're not competing for resources. We're not competing for anything except to achieve milestones as quickly as possible. And while that's a nice boost in the early game, in the mid to late game, it's just not that big a deal. So what did we do right? What did we do wrong? One thing I think we did an excellent job of doing was getting a really strong early supply of cement that basically carried us through the rest of the game. I really like that one of the changes Surviving Mars made is they got rid of the fiddly bits of, oh look, the concrete deposit expired, but if you move it slightly 3 hexes to the south northeast, you can get more concrete. I thought that was a bit fiddly. I like they limited that bit of micromanagement. So we had loads of concrete. That was never an issue. What else went really, really well? I think we did a good job of especially establishing machine part production. We pretty much eliminated our dependency on other places for that. We could have taken more advantage of the rare metal deposits that we had and then use them to build more electronics. Electronics was one of the things we were really hurting for toward the end of that game there. And it's easy to forget how important they are. Remember, you can literally turn electronics into drones, which is maybe not the best use of electronics. I'll be honest, I think the drone assembler is probably a late game constructor, just because it's so easy to just, especially with supply pods now, right? Just cram it full of drones and you'll get all the drones you can need. It's just not an efficient way to add additional drones until your electronic supply is so high that you don't care if you lose them. But one of the challenges of Surviving Mars, of course, is that later in the game you get the less valuable drones become because your colonists are doing most of the most important work. One change I would like to see, and I don't know how much of a possibility this is, I'd like to see some more automated way to send off transports to go look for metal. Especially because early on in the game, before you get colonists, it's the only way to get metal, apart from importing it. That feels a bit micromanagey to me, to have to manually tell it, go look at all these places, and then come back with metal. Not game-breaking, but irritating, I think is fair. One of the things I think that went really poorly, and it didn't become apparent till late in the game that we'd made that mistake, I should have kept the drone commander. If we were able to get drones to repair that drone hub, they could have then repaired everything else, and we might have survived after the batteries exploded. And that is an issue that next time I play through, I'm definitely going to make sure we have one, even if we don't use it exactly for emergencies like that. But to be fair, that was a bad choice on my part, and I don't I don't shirk my responsibility. I quite literally killed everyone. Because I went for... Yeah, if the batteries explode, it won't be that bad. It was pretty bad. I'm still struggling to find ideal dome placement. Because it seems like it's very hard in a basic dome to keep everyone relatively comfortable. Unless you just make, like, almost no residences. Like, maybe if we're talking about the 6 slices of pie, that's kind of how I think about it, sorry. Maybe 2 for residences, 2 for support buildings, and then, like, a factory or whatever else you're going to actually do, make the dome do that's productive. One of the things I'm definitely going to change next time is we're going to try to improve soil quality more than I do typically with crops. I know my colonist management game is pretty shit too, but it's not always intuitive what you can do about it. And I'm struggling with how to actually deal with that particular aspect of the game. Because once someone is so far gone as to become Earthsick, I can't really do much to stop them. I mean, I could quarantine them and lock them in the dome, but then they'd probably go, like, homicidal or something. I need to use passages more. And I think that's one way to get around the problem that the early game domes are too small to put everything a sensible person would need to survive. Because you could literally have, like, a residence dome and then purely a work dome, which would be a really interesting way to build things, and I think would be a more productive way to design colonies in the future. Especially if we pick a sponsor like Brazil that starts with passages at the very beginning. And they're free. I do think the fuel production just got ridiculously silly at one point. And what I should have done was actually make more polymer factories, because polymers use fuel to make what they're looking for. But we were never really short on polymers. So I feel ambivalent about our polymer game. Metal was good. We were making a good bit of metal, and then I just forgot about it, which is, again, entirely my fault. So yeah. Ultimately, the one decision that cost us was the one I made at the end, which is where I said, don't just shut off the power for a bit, just blow up the batteries. I thought the short-term problem would be the smarter solution, but it actually was by far the worst solution we could have imagined. And, you know, I won't do that next time. I also think I kind of let the research game slide. And I think that's one of those things. In every other game I've ever played that has a research component, I always obsess about the research component. But you can never really get really strong research unless you get... First, you need to get the Hawking Institutes, which we didn't get until almost the end of the game. And I think you just need to build domes that are just specialized for it. And again, this is why next time I play, I'm going to try to build networks of domes rather than individual domes out on their own doing individual things. So maybe that's something I will try next time just to see what I can pull off. We didn't have any problems with renegades this time, which I thought was really helpful. That was a problem in our first playthrough, if you recall. And I think it's because I've gotten better at figuring out how to manage their needs. But at the end of the day, it's kind of hard to manage the needs of the colonists once you get above a certain number, in my opinion. Especially because, like, things that improve luxury are very, very expensive. And there's not much we can do about that. But yeah, I think that'll end here. I just thought it would be interesting to talk about what happened, how we could have done better, what we did well. Share your own tips below in the comment section. I will not be playing Surviving Mars again for at least a bit, because my plan is to play Stellaris when that comes out, because I really want to play Megacorp, and the Live Win update. And I'm also really interested to play Man the Guns when that comes out for Hearts of Iron 4. When those two are finished, though, I think I'd like to give Surviving Mars another try. So I'm curious to see what you guys say and what you want to see in the future. But until then, thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already so you can take a look at all the other new videos that are coming out. But until then, this has been Indian, and I bid you good day.